Self-improvement does not mean ignore women, especially in this community. In the self-improvement community, it's always some like women are the distraction, girls are the distraction. Focus on yourself, focus on your goals, get to the bag. The general idea of that advice is good, but I think especially for men who are struggling specifically with that area of their life with dating, that just doesn't work. It just doesn't. Because when you think about it, the way that society works and the way that we work as people, men are always expected to initiate and make the first move. So a man who doesn't do that is just gonna be alone. What are you gonna do when you're 30 years old, super rich, and you got all these things, you're jacked, all this stuff, and you don't even know how to ask out a girl, or you've never gone on a date? It's good idealistically, but it doesn't work logically in reality. The reason why I'm talking about this is because I just recently got in a relationship. I made a video probably like 5 months ago talking about how I never had a girlfriend before, and you know, how I was a virgin, all that stuff. But it's been a couple months since then, and all of that has changed. Everything I was talking about in that other video that I made, why I'm a virgin at 20 years old, all of that has changed. I've had experience, I've been on dates, and I'm just recently gotten into a relationship with my first girlfriend ever. After all that time learning what it's like to learn how to date women, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, if I had followed that advice that these self-improvement gurus talk about, yeah, focus on yourself, I would have never experienced any of what I experienced in these past 4 months. None of it would have happened. All those dates I went on, all those times that I like kiss a girl or learn how to touch her or like touch her thigh or neck or something like that, none of that would have ever happened if I hadn't gone out of my way to make it happen. You know what I'm saying? There's so many people, so many guys who take that advice and it's like they take it too far. They start to become these, like, they use it as a cope or an excuse. So when they see a pretty girl, instead of conjuring up the confidence to go and, you know, talk to her, ask her how her day was, ask her out, I don't know, something, what they'll do instead, because they heard that advice in line, is they'll be like, oh, you gotta you gotta ignore women, you gotta be this Sigma Alpha Giga Chad who doesn't pay any attention. How long can you do that before you just end up alone with no experience? I would say it works for a guy who's just like in a really shitty place. But if you're just an average dude and you have no idea what you're doing when it comes to dating and courting women and stuff, that is a skill. That's what a lot of you guys don't understand. The reason that advice doesn't hold up is because, one, you're a man, right? You're gonna be expected to initiate. But then two, that advice was like, don't chase women and don't put them on a pedestal. That's good, but to some extent, if you want to get good at a skill, you have to put an effort into it. You have to try at it to be better. You know what I'm saying? And you have to have some type of experience of failing, being rejected, and things like that in order to get better at it eventually in the future. So how are you going to do that if you take that advice at face value? Well, you got to think about it like this, bro. Every single girl who you think is hot, who walks by you not talking to her is basically sabotaging a potential entire future relationship. Think about that. You know how you see a girl and you imagine like all these things of her? That could be real. Like, you could actually have that. But because you're sitting here trying to be this Giga Chad Alpha Sigma, you miss it. You miss it, bro. I'm not saying that you should just go and chase a bunch of box, but what I'm saying is I think we should stop saying ignore women and ignore dating and ignore things. And I think we should start saying dating and courting women is a part of self-improvement because it's a skill. You're not going to get better at something like that by completely ignoring it. A lot of guys, they'll sit here and they'll tell you, oh yeah, well, I could have this, I could have that, but I'm on self-improvement. I'm focused on myself. I'm focused. Don't sit here and lie to me. The reality is that you're just scared. That's the reality. And I know that's the reality because that's what it was like for me. If I was to snap my fingers and put some hot girl who's like your perfect type in your room, what are you gonna do? You're gonna tell her, bye, I'm on self-improvement? No, you're not. Like, you know damn well if you had the chance you would want to get in a relationship, but you use your self-improvement journey as an excuse or like a cope of why you're alone, when in reality you're just scared to talk to girls. That's really what it is. You go to the gym, you do all this stuff, but when it comes to talking to a girl you like, you just can't do it because you're afraid of being rejected. That's the problem. Ultimately, you want to become the best version of yourself. All of that stuff you should still be working on, but eventually there's gonna reach a point where you make all this money and you become super successful and you have a nice body and you look super good and all this stuff, and you will still be alone. There is absolutely no reality on this self-improvement journey where you just ignore women and then you get to a certain level and all of a sudden they just start falling in your lap. That's not how it works, bro. It's not like a level cap. Let's just say like you start your self-improvement journey and you're at like level 0. If you keep going to the gym, you keep watching self-improvement videos, journaling and meditating, it's like you think if you keep doing it, eventually you'll reach like a certain level. Like you'll go from level 0 to like level 20 or level 30. And then when you hit level 30, all of a sudden, all these hot girls are just gonna start flocking to you. Like you think it's like a level cap. That's not how life works. There's gonna be a certain point, if you want a relationship at all, where you're gonna have to learn how to get into one. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to learn how to date and how to ask out a girl and how to do all that stuff. stuff, it's just not gonna be nearly as smooth or better for you the older you get, even if you are more successful. All of that stuff that you think is so hard right now, eventually you're gonna have to do anyway. Even if you're 30 years old and you're super jacked and you're super rich, you're still gonna have to learn how to ask out a girl, bro. So you might as well learn how to do that skill now. I'm telling you, I had to make it happen. I probably approached like 15 or 20 different girls, bro, in the last like 2 months. Some of them didn't work out. Some of them kind of sort of did work out, but it just fizzled out. At the end of the day, I learned so much more in the span of like a month and a half than I probably have in the last 5 years. And that's just because I decided to man up and take responsibility for my current situation. I went out of my way to try to get what I wanted, and it worked. I feel much better because I feel like I could do it again way easier because now I have the experience. Women are distractions. Some of you take it way too far, bro. You take that advice way too far and you start thinking that means that every single girl who looks your direction, you should just ignore. Like, like I said, that experience, even if it doesn't work out, builds you as a man. You know what to expect, and knowing what to expect is half of the battle. And I think a lot of you also need to stop lying to yourself. Yeah, I'm not focused on girls right now. No, you just don't have any. That's the truth. And I'm telling you from experience, bro, it's not that bad. If she rejects you, it's not that bad. Just go talk to another one. It'll be scary at first. You're gonna feel so weird at first, but eventually it's like, fuck it. Whatever it is that you really don't want to do, that you're really scared of, for example, for most of you, it's probably approaching a girl you like. Do it. I'm telling you right now, from experience, it's holding you back. There's a certain level that you should get to before you do it to make it much easier, and I feel like that's what I did. I described it in my looks maxing video, but you can see the level that I was at in that looks maxing video like before. If I hadn't taken all that time to become what I am now, I don't think this would have been as easy. I don't think you should just jump into it, especially if you were like I was and you're kind of just like a low value guy. You just don't have a lot to offer. Once you get to a certain level, like how I got to a certain level, I think you should just start jumping into it, bro. But if you were like I was, you were the way I looked in that looks max video, if that's like the level kind of that you're at right now, I would say don't jump into it yet. Get yourself to a point like I got myself to a point. I explained a lot of the stuff I did, so go watch that and then go watch the other ones so you kind of get yourself to that level first. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that.